Jets fans? Welcome to episode number 41 of the JetStream podcast. I am Travis Rubinik. Today is September 15th, and I'm here with Joe Clark and Neil Noonan. It's got a bit of a busy podcast to get through today, so let's just dive right into things here, I guess.
I was just going to say that.
Not even time to say hi.
Yeah, no real time to say hi. We're kind of, lots of things to cover. First things first, Young Stars tournament has kind of started. I've watched a grand total.
Hasn't it,
I guess it's kind of over now.
It's over. It literally
today.
just ended, yeah.
I watched 0 seconds of games.
I watched half of 2 games, so like a total game.
What did you learn?
Not much. I learned
nothing?
Patan's got some mad sauce
Yeah.
going on, and I heard, I was at school today, I didn't get to see, but Ehlers apparently was just ripping it up today, so that's good. But, yeah, they won in a shootout against Vancouver, I think it was today. Yeah. And Ehlers had an assist in 2 goals plus a goal in the shootout or something like that. Yeah, not bad.
It's a good game. Yeah, so that's the Young Stars.
Was Truba playing in that?
So he's technically a pro now. So
yeah.
Oh,
this is
so
only
who are the Young Stars?
Draft picks.
Recent draft picks. Yeah. Maybe a couple professional tryouts.
Yeah, a couple. There was like 3 or 4.
A couple ice caps might be there. I think Lapon was there.
Yeah, Lapon has been there the whole time. Lowry.
Yeah, Lowry. Guys who haven't made the team yet, basically.
So would this be the equivalent of like the NBA Summer League?
Kind of.
I don't know about the NBA Summer League.
I think that's fairly accurate.
What do they do in the NBA Summer League if someone would like
it's
to
young? It's all the guys that just got drafted. Yeah. They're trying to make a team.
Yeah. This has not all the teams play in the Young Stars tournament though. It's only a select few teams in the NHL that do it. Not every team does it. So and
3 or 4 teams will make their own little league somewhere, and they'll just play like the Jets play in Penticton, and the Leafs and Sens play over in Ontario somewhere.
And some teams don't even participate at all. So I think NBA Summer League. I think it's everybody, right?
More. Not every team participates, but if you're drafted by a team that is not participating, you could play on another team.
Oh, okay.
It's kind of like that.
Yeah.
I'm not 100% sure on the entire thing works, but
it sounds pretty similar. Just a chance to watch your kids play against the rest of their peers, and it's one of those weird kind of situations where if you're a prospect, you don't want to look like you belong with the young in the prospects, or you want to really stand up and like show that you don't belong there. But the funny thing is, Trouba last year
didn't do well.
Didn't look very good. Some people thought he looked, because he made his huge hits and stuff like that, but he was often caught out of position and just making dumb mistakes. And I think that's a lot to do with just the pressure they feel. Mm-hmm. Like they need to do something to make themselves stand out because he's such a superstar, and that kind of screwed him up. And from what I'd heard from people, is Morrissey kind of looked the same way. He was making those kind of weird mistakes. And I think Garrett kind of at one point mentioned he had a little bit of concern because Morrissey put on a lot of weight this offseason. He thinks that he was wondering if that might have played into it. I doubt it. It might, but
he put on like 15 pounds, 10, 15 pounds,
like that, which
it's not crazy.
Pounds?
Sorry?
Is that a lazy 15 pounds?
No, like muscle.
Yeah,
But it's you're going to be slower, right? Like you're not going to put on that muscle and just be faster. It's pretty hard to do, but we'll see how it goes. I mean, I find that stuff interesting, but I never read anything into it. I see that as we really want to watch hockey. Let's watch something, and this is what it is. Like I don't think I've watched any of the
It's a publicity thing too. I mean, like when else are people in Vancouver other than when the Jets come and play there? Are people out there going to get a chance to see other organizations come around, right? And it's cheaper tickets. It's more accessible to everyone. Blah blah blah.
Yeah, it's kind of like preseason light.
Yeah, exactly. Oh yeah, it's like extra light preseason. Yeah.
It's like those little shot kind of Bud Light beers you can have, where it's Bud Light in the first place, but now it's even smaller, so you're not even going to get close to intoxicated. You're just drinking something that sort of tastes like beer and is basically water.
Yeah, and there you go.
And paying $5 for it. But yeah, for more interesting things, kind of. Vander Kane, once again in the media.
Yes, excellent.
It's so frustrating that all this crap always comes from the same unnamed TSN outlet.
Yeah. Unnamed.
Okay, so for those of you who don't really know, Blake Wheeler was doing an interview with Craig Custance, I think say his name, from ESPN. And he basically was quoted on, I think the quote came out on Twitter or whatever first, that he said that Kane is coming into the stage of his career where he's no longer a young guy. He needs to step up and be a leader on this team. I see that as like, okay, fine. He's becoming a new part of his career. He can take a bigger role. He can speak up in the locker room. People are going to listen to him now. Kane's not in the past couple of years, it was kind of looked at where Kane was the youngin around the club. And yeah, there might have been some younger players, but Kane was like...
He was the most consistent young guy. Like, some of the young guys came and went, but he was consistently in the lineup. So.
And now that, like, Scheifele's there and Truba's there... Oh, by the way, this is a completely random point. I was at the Iceplex. We were at the Iceplex is when we noticed it.
Yeah.
Watching our friend play. And... up on one of the walls, they have like huge banisters of players, and for at least the last year, I'm not sure if it was the last 2, they had Slater and Bufflin up.
Yeah,
both of them are gone, and now it's Scheifele and Truba.
The young guns,
which is just like the two
young guns.
This is what we have this year. Please love them so much. I thought that was kind of funny. But yeah, now that they're around, Kane's not really. Joe, another one of your stupid J's are all over here. Okay,
sorry.
When we were prepared for this podcast, I gave Joe an Apple keyboard to use with.
Did I ever pay you for this, by the way?
No, you didn't.
Oh, sorry. I'll get you. I'll get
whatever.
you some money one day.
He bought this thing for me because I bought a new computer last year or 2 years. I bought a new computer and I already had a wireless Apple keyboard, so I gave it to Joe because I didn't need it anymore. Because when I bought my iPad at first, I wanted something to use, and then I bought a new keyboard for it. So I hadn't touched this thing in forever, and I gave it to Joe. And we're sitting here kind of getting set up, and I'm trying to type little notes out here. And out of nowhere, just my keyboard just stops working, and things are just going crazy. And I'm like, what the hell's happening here? And Joe's just smacking away. He's like, what the fuck's going on over here? And we're so confused, and his stupid keyboard was still hooked up to my iPad, so he's typing J's in all my notes.
I'm like hitting J. I'm like, why is it not showing up on the screen?
And I was just like tapping all over my notes, trying to like figure out why it wasn't working. So now there's just random J's everywhere. I found another one.
Just J's all over Travis's
J's
notes.
all over the place. It's really frustrating because I'm going to keep seeing them and be like, what? That's not how you say his name.
First world problems, let me tell you.
It's just the worst.
Yeah.
Anyways, so Kane... where was that?
So off topic.
Yeah, I know.
We're talking about how Kane, now that there's younger guys who are solid
there's
parts
younger
of the
guys
lineup.
now, so Kane isn't like... He's kind of at that middle point. He's not one of the old vets anymore, but he's not a kid. So he's kind of in that transition stage where he's got to start taking that leadership role and show these kids how it's done, basically. Mm-hmm. And quite honestly, show some of the vets how it's done.
Yeah.
But Wheeler was just trying to making a point. He's saying, like, he phrased it afterwards as a compliment. But of course...
It's a fair... I think those fair comments.
Oh, yeah, so do I.
Wheeler made. More of an observation, really.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
He isn't... I don't see that as a criticism at all.
No.
But there's a little bit of talk here and there about how this is Wheeler showing that he didn't like Kane, blah, 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 blah. There's some sort of tension in the locker room and all this crap, which people are obviously going to try to run with. Yeah. It didn't really go anywhere at that point in time. It was just kind of some rumbles. You knew it was obviously going to be talked about just because it was there, but I didn't really see much going on about it, especially on Twitter, which if something happens in Winnipeg, it blows up, especially with Kane's name.
You'll see it.
But then Evander decided to make a joke about it, obviously being Evander Kane.
Yeah.
And he tweeted back saying, you could have just thrown me a text, hashtag, you can find me at the top of the circle.
That's hilarious.
Which, that's
perfect, by the way.
Like, it's funny because if you don't understand that he's making a joke by that hashtag, which is the typical... Evander Kane only shoots from the top of the circle bullcrap.
Fantastic.
Then I don't know what you're thinking. So obviously that's what blows up in everyone's mind is, bro, they hate each other, blah, blah, blah. Why is Blake Wheeler, should Blake Wheeler be really criticizing Evander Kane? Is Evander Kane supposed to be blah, 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 blah? And it just gets way out of proportion. Mm-hmm. Just stupid. People start criticizing Blake Wheeler, say, he shouldn't talk because he always goes in slumps to start the year. Like, stupid arguments that are just dumb things that don't matter.
Yeah.
That mostly are just annoyingness. It was stupid. Excuse me. I'm still coming over that disease, so I might cough a few times. So yeah, of course this is blown out way out of proportion, again, by that specific unnamed TSN organization in this city that is annoying because it's our only thing to listen to in the mornings, and clearly they have all the voice of everything.
Not narrowing it down at all to what we're talking about.
Not at all. A certain morning show that I stopped listening to for a while, and then when I start listening to, because they get a realistic guy on there, they start bringing this crap up. Obviously blows it way out of proportion, and they talk to Blake Wheeler next day, and I find these quotes extremely just telling of what the Jets locker room thinks of the media here right now, and I'm going to read 3 of them off here. First one. I think once again, it's just making something out of nothing, and it seems to happen a lot in regards to him.
Wow.
Second one, he makes a comment, and that's what you guys have to talk about. That's 2. Number 3, it's a little bit frustrating. He was making a joke, and it was taken the wrong way.
Yeah. I think it's pretty obvious he was making a joke. Like, I don't see how you read that tweet and see it as anything other than
exactly. And he goes on to say he wasn't insulting. I mean, if anything, he thought he was more of a compliment than anything else. He's ready to take a leadership role. Like,
you know, and
it's so stupid.
It's nice to see those comments because at least you know in the locker room that it's
know
all good.
him.
They're just laughing about it, being like, wow, those guys are idiots in the media, right? Like, they don't care, and they're just brushing it off, which is good. It's nice to see that and know that they know that the people doing this are idiots.
Well, it's funny because now you've had, I think Andrew Ladd has said something negative about them. I think Brian Little has said something negative about them. Now Blake Wheeler has said something negative.
There's three core guys right there.
Exactly. Three, the biggest core, most important people on this team.
Yeah.
It's hilarious. It's barely worth talking about.
Yeah, it is what it is, but it's going
to keep... I feel... usually the term is the Winnipeg media, and I honestly don't even think that's in the case anymore.
No,
because most of those quotes, I was trying to look back and find all this stuff again when I was prepping for today, and I found a Winnipeg Sun article that was just ripping on the fact that anybody took this out of the way. I'm like, oh, well, that's hilarious because the Free Press is all with TSN, blah, 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 blah. Thought that was funny. I know a lot of other guys who every time this stuff comes up, you can read it in their tweets. They're like, please stop saying this is Winnipeg media. This is one group of people that come up with all of this crap. It's not all of us. And it's frustrating because they are going to get labeled and that's the way people are going to perceive it. And yeah. Anyways, moving on because it's a non-issue. It's a stupid story that never should have happened. So we're just going to get past it.
Can I have a question before you? Like, what did they have a problem with?
I don't know. It's Evander Kane. They have to turn it into something.
Yeah, because I'm with Joe. Like, I don't know. If you read that tweet, like, that's obviously a joke between two teammate.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, especially Evander's one. Like, even when I saw Blake Wheeler's, I read it and I was like, okay.
Fair enough.
And I moved on.
Oh, yeah. Like
I just kept scrolling. I read it. I was like, oh, something from Blake Wheeler. I can't remember if Pity retweeted it. Somebody retweeted it and I saw it and I was like, okay, that's nice. And I kept moving. I'm pretty sure it was Pity because I think he saw it as Evander Kane's supposed to be a leader thing, maybe. I don't know. I always just, as soon as I see Evander Kane, I think about Pity.
Yeah.
I don't know why that is, but
same with me.
Yeah. So like, I scrolled past it in the first place, and I saw Evander's. I was like, that's fucking hilarious, and I moved on because this is funny. And then I turned on my radio the next morning, and they were talking about it like it was some crazy catastrophe.
Yeah, it's just like when like Bogosian and Trouba and Scheifele go back and forth at each other. They take their playful jabs on Twitter all the time.
I think bombing, but that's where I first started realizing, because when I woke up in the morning, I was scrolling through my timeline and I saw bombing say something like, you guys should really see what the Bombers players
actually
tweet about each other.
Very good point. And I don't know, I've meant to bring it up to at least Travis. I don't know if I mean to bring it up on the podcast or not, but some of the stuff the Bombers players and just CFL players tweet in general, I'm like, oh my god, if a Jets player tweeted this, like, explosion, unbelievable. Exactly. Like, some of the stuff they say, unreal.
They beak each other
all
the time.
And just general inappropriate tweets, and it's just like, wow. Yeah. If that was any of the Jets, let alone Evander Kane, this would just be an explosion.
Oh yeah, it's crazy. Yeah. Like, it's just the way it is, and I think the Jets know what it's like, and obviously Trouba and Scheifele and like Lowry, and if you see with Lowry and Morrissey and all those guys that know each other too, they're going at each other all the time. Look at any of their Instagram accounts. Whenever one of them posts anything,
just beaks.
All the comments are their teammates beaking them. It's hilarious. It's so funny, but like. Oh, as soon as Evander Kane joins in on the fun. Like, could you imagine if Kane, like, took a joke shot at Trouba or Scheifele? He would literally get kicked out of this city.
Probably.
Like, people would be lining up to kick him off a bridge out of this city.
Lining up at the airport to kick him back onto a plane.
Exactly. Like, it's ridiculous.
That makes me so happy, though, that they beak each other. Like, that means they're friends.
Exactly.
You would never do that to somebody that's not a friend. It's weird to say, but guys know. Like,
no, exactly. You don't. If they weren't going back and forth, then you should have a concern.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
I'm glad they probably use all of this like Winnipeg media stuff and use it as like cohesion for each other.
Totally.
Right?
It's like, oh, did you see that dumbass shit that Rhett Westwood said this morning? Like, I can't even. It's so frustrating. Anyway, moving on. Winter Classic. Mm-hmm. The Winter Classic was announced this past week. It's going to be the Chicago Blackhawks playing in Washington against the Capitals at Nationals Park. Wow, my throat is just dying right now. So they're playing, obviously, against each other at Winter. At Winter. At Nationals Park, they're playing. Interestingly...
It's in winter.
In winter, yes, that's close. Interestingly, the NHL actually pulled out of their HBO 24/7 series.
I heard about that, yes.
this was kind of all leaked out last few days. They're going to attempt to create their own show on this channel. It's called Epics, which I had never heard of before.
That's a channel?
It's a channel. It was a network channel created by Viacom after Paramount Pictures, MGM, and Lionsgate decided to pull their content away from Showtime.
Okay.
I guess it's mostly in the States. I think I have this channel because in the article I read, they described it as, you know how you always scrolling through your channels and you see like Marvel the Avengers, you're like, oh, I might as well watch that, and then you never have the channel. That's that channel, the one that's always showing these new movies, as long as some old classics, but you never have the channel.
I have my TV guide set up that it only shows me the channels that I have.
That's so convenient.
Yeah,
I could do that, but I have to go on and manually remove all the ones I don't
have.
have.
Me too, Travis.
So I'm like, I'm not doing that.
There's
I'm
over like 2,000 whatever channels. I started it, and I was like, nope,
we're done.
This is not worth it. I know what I go to.
I was honestly amazed. I had no idea that was something you could do, and my sister, of all people, who's like not necessarily that tech savvy, and I mean I'm not either, but I like to think I know my way around a TV.
Yeah.
And
I know my way around the old remotes.
Yeah, exactly. I spent enough time with it, so I'm scrolling through the guide, and she lives in Toronto, and she was back visiting, and I'm scrolling through the guide. I was like, oh, don't get this channel. I'm just gonna skip over all this. And she's like, oh, why don't you just set it up so that it only shows the channels that you get? I'm like, what?
You are guessing channels like a peasant.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like hoping there's a little preview in the bottom so I can see if I actually get the channel or not. She's like, yeah, just go do this. And she just grabs the remote, does like 3 button touches, and it's just done. And I'm like, technology.
Oh, great. This is what's going to be like in 10 years when I have kids. And they're just like, Dad, what are you doing?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But yeah, no, I was amazed, and I love it. It's fantastic. Everything that's on my guide, I can watch.
See, I've thought of doing it before, but I'm like, there's so many channels.
Yeah, that sucks to manually remove it.
And so I figure, you know what? I'm just going to take that once a week when I'm like, hey, there's nothing on. I'm just going to play channel roulette.
There you go.
And I'm going to take the random chance, and if nothing appears, the only thing that sucks, I've got some funky version of Shaw. Or if I don't get the channel, it like pauses for a second. Even if I do get the channel, it goes to a black screen for like a quick second before it gets to the channel. And so I have that 1 second of hope that I'm like, maybe I have this channel. And then it's a little too long, and I'm like, oh, I don't have it. So I have to sit here and wait for the, you do that, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, oh, I'm not ordering this. Just let me leave it. And I have to wait for it to like stop previewing and telling me to buy it. I'm like, ugh. So that's kind of frustrating. But other than that, anyways.
Serious first world problem right there.
I just feel like such a prick this episode. So many first world problems.
Yeah, no kidding.
Double syncing keyboards and channels that don't automatically remove themselves.
I've got to wait 5 seconds to change from a channel that I don't subscribe to.
To make you feel like a total prick, what were we talking about earlier? Oh, if MTS doesn't have the iPhone 6 immediately on Friday, we're so pissed.
Yeah, before the podcast, Travis is talking about how he's going to go down to MTS and get a new iPhone when they come out with the new one, and like the Apple store is going to be getting them on Friday.
Yeah.
And so Travis is saying he's going to go down to the MTS store and get them, and he's just like, I'm going to be so mad if they don't have the iPhone 6 when I get there first thing on Friday.
Well, it's because it's the only morning I have. Otherwise, I have to be somewhere. So I'm like, and you know what it's like with these things? If you don't get it like right when it comes out, you're waiting like months because there's a huge wait list.
Or you just like delay it, and you're like, well, the next time I can go is like 2 weeks from now.
Which again, total first world problem. But I mean, like, my phone's pissed me off. It barely plays videos anymore. There's no sounds come out of it except for random times.
You're not saving this, Travis. It's a serious first world problem.
I know. Anyways, so they're putting this 24 or this new version of the show on this Epix channel in the States. I believe it'll be available on Sportsnet as well because Rogers wants to put some money into it to help them produce it.
So it'll be
censored. So boo. I want to hear the swear words.
They're airing it on Sportsnet though.
I believe so because they aired HBO's 24/7 last year on Sportsnet, which again was censored. Boo.
So
you get it late. Boo.
They're essentially still going to be doing 24/7. It's just that it's not going to be 24/7.
Yeah, it's going to be like it's going to be the NHL's version of it. The reasons apparently why they did this is because HBO wanted to take only the Stadium Series game they wanted to do, which is the Sharks and the Kings, which obviously you'd want that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they didn't want to do 2, so they were just going to drop the actual Winter Classic, and the NHL was like, no. We want both.
Well,
and
they would at least want the Winter Classic for sure, because that's like the big one.
Oh, exactly. That's the big one. So the NHL's like, you know what? We're going to do this now, so goodbye.
We're going to do it our own way.
We're going to do our own way. It's basically going to be the same thing. It's the only reason they might have been hesitant is because of the cost. I think that's why HBO didn't want to do it, because it's expensive to do that. You literally have cameras and mics following these guys around
everywhere,
all the time,
all year,
flying with the team. Like it's expensive to hire people and to do all the editing and stuff, and it's quick, short timelines. So it's not like they have tons of time to put it together. So it's a lot of money all at once. They probably just wanted to do the one, and that was that. But yeah, it'll be cool. There's a 4-show series on the Winter Classic, a 4-show series, I guess, on the Sharks and Kings Stadium games. And yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to it. It's not really going to disappear. So
I watched all the 24/7s that have come out up till now.
Yeah, even if you learn about Randy Carlisle unable to make toast.
Yes, the toast. Oh my God, the toaster. That was like one of my favorite things.
That was so fun.
One of my favorite TV moments, I think.
That just made all Leaf fans feel so proud.
Oh yeah, actually, I was I can't remember. Steve Dangle tweeted something today, and I was looking at his profile, and then one of the pictures he has is of him and Jeffler with the toaster, like taking a selfie with the toaster.
Day and they got to see the toaster,
and they're like, it's like Steve Dangle tweeted, it's like me and at Jeffler with the toaster, and they're like hugging the toaster.
Yeah,
I was like, oh, that's amazing.
I think I was either listening to the podcast or I was watching one of his videos, and apparently they do like reviews for every NHL game that comes out. By the way, apparently NHL 15 is just really lacking this year. The gameplay itself is awesome, but they like got rid of a bunch of modes and game versions and like stuff you can do in the game. And if you play online, apparently they just got rid of all the fun stuff. So
I hope they didn't get rid of that 3-on-3 like
the big heads things. The big heads is classic.
That was a separate game, so you could probably still get that.
Because that thing's the best thing I've ever
You used to be able to play it on the NHL games, right?
Yeah, I think it like came with a download for it one year.
I don't have a gaming system, so I wouldn't know.
Yeah. I have the old one.
I'm living in the Stone Age. I don't even have a gaming system.
Anyways, so they got to like go and see like the Leafs and Marlies like locker rooms at their practice facility, and the toaster was there. And apparently all the other people were like in the locker room looking at all this cool stuff, and Jeffler and Steve were just like hanging out with the toaster the whole time.
I definitely would do the same thing.
It was fantastic. Steve got a job at Sportsnet.
I did, yeah. That's what
Mr. Dangle?
Yeah,
that's what he tweeted. Yeah, that's what he tweeted today. Was something about first day on the job.
Yeah, it was his first day at Sportsnet. I hope he ends up doing like videos and stuff.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Pretty cool. Like a little 10-minute video at the end of a broadcast or something. Just
I would,
like,
that would get me to watch Sportsnet for sure.
Yeah.
What I hate is that some of these like YouTube stars, or I guess like media, whatever, blogging verse stars, when they get hired, they get like lost in this big conglomerate of a company.
Yeah.
And I just hope that doesn't happen with Steve Dangle. He's so good at what he does.
That's one thing he's been good for, and he always says when he gets new jobs is like one of the things he brings up is like, I still want to do my videos and stuff like that, because that's how he's made his money and made his career over the last however many years, right? And doing the podcasts that he does and videos and everything like that is it's who he is, right? So even when he's worked at CBC before, he's worked for Leafs TV, and he's kind of stayed steady with his stuff. It's obviously production's improved and whatnot as he's gotten better at it, and
gotten a sponsorship,
money, and exactly. So I'm assuming he's going to keep going with it, and even if he does get lost in the shuffle at Rogers, he's still going to do his thing, and that's what people want to watch, right?
That's good.
So I'm happy for him. He's definitely one of the reasons that I got started doing everything I do. So yeah, it's glad to see it's actually working out for him. So next topic before we kind of get into, we are going to end up doing a whole like kind of Eastern Conference breakdown today, but first we're just going to go over one more thing. NHL rule changes. There's a bunch of them that just came out. One of them that they're actually going to try in the preseason and then work through, and a bunch more that are just kind of happening and making some actually pretty drastic changes from out of nowhere. So I'm just going to go through them all, say them, we'll make comments on them all. So the first one, Rule 1.8, the rink. The goalie's restricted area. The trapezoid, as we now know it, is going to be 2 feet further away from the posts on both sides. So it's a bigger area. I guess it will. I'm assuming this is probably going to eliminate goalies really screwing that up.
Yeah. Because, I mean, the ones that do get screwed up are by an inch or 2 inches. Yeah, exactly. Like, nobody messes it up by a lot.
I mean, I guess that you'll see more goalies possibly kind of playing with those lines again and getting out there again. But goalies who handle the puck are going to go handle the puck, and goalies who don't are just going to stay at home.
No matter how big the space is, they're still going to do it. So
I guess it's more of a protective mechanism. Yeah. I don't know. Rule 1.9, the rink. Face-off spots and circles. This one's a little interesting to me, and I actually glanced over this one the first time I read through them. The face-off hash marks. So the side of the circle there where the players line up, they used to be 3 feet apart, but this preseason they're going to start 5 feet and 7 inches apart.
Wow, that's a big difference.
And it will then be decided by the start of the season. This rule staying. I'm assuming this is a way for them to kind of limit the bull crap that happens before face-offs and just kind of save time so refs don't have to come over and do
all the jostling and the
I mean, guys aren't going to listen to them for the most part anyways.
Yeah. But I mean, when you're starting almost 6 feet apart,
exactly,
that's it's hard to start beef from that far other than chirping.
It'll be interesting to see if they just start giving us penalties for really kind of giving away. I mean, it might speed up the game a little bit, but we'll see how it goes. Rule 23, game misconduct penalties. This is another big one. Clipping, charging, interference. I'm assuming that means like blatant, like injury-causing interference.
Yeah.
Elbowing, kneeing, headbutting, butt ending, pretty much any dangerous act. They're all being upgraded to the same level as boarding and hitting from behind. So you get a game misconduct from them.
That is a big one.
If you get two game misconducts from any of those offenses, you automatically receive a 1-game suspension.
Nice.
So it seems to me like they're kind of cracking down on unneeded violence.
Yeah. Well, all of those things all those things you just said there are the classic not hockey plays, right? They're not things that are necessary for hockey, or you shouldn't be doing if all you're trying to do is play hockey, right? They're those dangerous plays that aren't considered to be part of the game. And so, I mean, that's totally reasonable to bring those changes in.
I mean, I'm sure you're going to start seeing game misconduct penalties try to get appealed every once in a while and be like, I shouldn't have got a game misconduct. I didn't do it, blah, blah, blah. And if that does happen, you might save yourself one of these penalties, but you get 2, you're done.
Yep.
Fine. Penalty shots, Rule 24. This one is going to get a little bit, I think, a love and hate. No more spinoramas. I really don't get this. Technically they were illegal to begin with because the puck wasn't moving forwards the whole time. The rule in the shootout was the puck had to be moving forwards the entire time. The second anyone did a spinorama, that wasn't happening, so that should have been a penalty. Or disallowed. But if you're going to have a show at the end of games and it's supposed to be for the fans and blah, 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 why are you taking away one of the most exciting plays?
Yeah.
That's what I don't get. But
Roberto Luongo tweeted out after that, he's like, hey, NHL, here's an idea. Get rid of the shootout and keep the spinorama.
Exactly.
And I was like, yeah, that's actually not bad.
It's so stupid. I don't know why they still have shootouts. They need to find something new.
Yeah.
Rule 38, the video goal judge. They're pretty much giving the video review guys more discretion in making calls. They can correct strange goal or no goal calls, and they can provide guidance, is I think the wording they used, to referees when they had blown or intended to blow the whistle because they lost sight of the puck. Basically, they don't want to make the refs look stupid anymore.
Right.
You want to avoid calls like the Duchesne offside that resulted in a goal when the puck touched the meshing and they didn't blow it down, and everyone's like, this is game-changing, and stuff like that. They want to kind of give video review the chance to be like, okay, that it shouldn't have happened. There was a very clear thing. We're going to overturn that. It's kind of more of a duh rule.
Right, yeah.
They're also going to require a more distinct kicking motion now to overturn a goal because it was kicked in. Okay. Fine, whatever. Puck went in the net, puck went in the net. Rule 57, tripping. I know we disagree on this, Joe. If a player now dives and uses his body and trips a player, it's now going to be called tripping regardless of if the defending player touches the puck first or not. I hate this. I think this is so stupid. If a player is able to go at a puck and strip it off of a player's stick first, I don't care if he trips him. I do not care. That was a great defensive play. He doesn't have the puck anymore. He's just falling over him. That should not be tripping, in my opinion. I think it's dumb.
The thing that sold me on liking this is that I think that play, and I mean, a lot of the time it is a good defensive play and nothing comes of it, and, whatever. Gets the puck away from the guy falls over, both guys are on the ice, they both stand up, skate away, whatever. But there is those instances every now and then where that can be a pretty dangerous play. If at high speeds, you're coming in, you get the puck away, good for you, congratulations, you're a champion, you're an all-star, but you tripping this guy who's going full tilt trying to get past you, he's barreling over, and who knows, you fly into the boards. That's how femurs break, right? So, I mean, I know that that's not a common thing. That's not a common thing, but I mean, these are the things that happen, and they're 1 in a million, and everybody's like, oh my God, we have to protect against this, right? So, instead of having it happen first to make them change the rule,
you know what else happens?
Preemptive strike.
Brain damage from fighting. Fix that first.
Absolutely.
Leave my tripping.
Well, they're on their way to fixing that.
If you're gonna make the play, he makes the play. He doesn't have the puck anymore. Whatever. Like, it's stupid to me. I want to debate you on this, but we don't have time. Rule 64, diving and embellishment, which also is another play that's gonna happen if guys start getting stripped and there's a guy near his feet. He's just gonna start falling over to get the frickin' tripping call, which is bullcrap. Anyways, dive embellishment. There are clearly defined. There are now clearly defined fines for guys who are being labeled as divers. If caught once, a warning is issued to the player. If they're caught twice diving, a $2,000 fine to the player. I mean, not a lot of money, but you're still getting fined. 3 times, $3,000 fine to the player. 4 times, $4,000 fine to the player, plus the $2,000 fine to the coach, which is a little more interesting.
Still nothing, though.
Exactly. It just kind of keeps going up. 5th, $5K, $3K to the coach. 6th and 7th, bump the coach up to $4,000 and $5,000. Exactly. It's a big deal. The TSN was trying to make a big deal out of it, saying now you're going to see all these players going to be labeled as divers, blah, 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 blah. I really don't think the guys who are diving already give a crap if they're labeled as divers.
No.
It doesn't make a difference to I think anybody, coaches, whatever, they're making enough money. This is like next to nothing.
It basically is nothing.
I think this is oh look, we're trying to do something kind of thing. And then, I understand that the CBA limits how much you can fine by blah 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 bull crap like that, but I think this is kind of a pointless thing. Rule 76, face-offs. After an icing, if a player's lined up for a face-off, this is actually pretty interesting. If the player lined up to take the face-off after an icing commits a violation. So usually those are the things where you see goes in, does something stupid on purpose, gets tossed, buy themselves more time when the actual center comes in and takes the face-off, right? Try to buy time. Well, now, the player who gets that face-off violation, he receives a warning and he stays in the circle. And if he does it a second time, it's a penalty. So that kind of stays. If you get waived or violate twice, it's a penalty either way. But now it's the same guys, so they're hoping to kind of eliminate some of that crap where you're deliberately getting tossed and the guy comes in and buying yourself more time. Rule 84, overtime. This is a bit of a change. People were hoping to go to start that 3-on-3 stuff. Instead, the NHL goes a kind of bland way, which I don't think is going to change scoring that much because it's not going to change the style of play very much. Teams are going to switch sides at the start of overtime, so that makes it like the second period where you have a long change.
Right, okay.
There's always been a bit of a bump in second period scoring because of the long change, people think, and all this other crap. I don't really know if it's going to make that much of a difference.
Especially over a very...
go to a shootout.
And the very shortened amount of time that it is.
I don't think it's going to make a huge difference. They're also going to dry scrape before the ice before period starts. Okay. The overtime period starts again. I don't know how great the ice is going to be after a dry scrape. It's probably not going to do that much. And coaches no longer have to submit their shooters before they actually do them. They can just kind of send them.
They just send whoever they want. Okay.
Exactly. Not huge sort of things. Rule 85, and the last one that they've changed is the puck out of play. So basically shots on goal that break the glass, deflect off the goal and go out, deflect off the boards or glass and go out, deflected by a teammate, or they get wedged in the netting, or in the net basically. They're no longer going to result in defensive zone face-off for the attacking team. Whatever, I don't really.
That's not really a common thing.
Interesting thing that we're going to do today is the Eastern Conference preview. So this is kind of our big chunk of what we're doing for this podcast. So what we're going to do, Joe and I have both kind of developed a bit of thoughts on each team in the Eastern Conference for this episode. We're going to go through starting with the Metropolitan Division, talk about the changes that teams have made, and then we're going to talk about whether or not we're going to think they make the playoffs. We each have playoff picks, who we think are going to make the playoffs out of each division, who our wild card picks are. So we're just kind of get a bit of a breakdown, get everybody actually prepared for the season because it's starting soon. Thank God. Yeah. Hopefully my throat will not completely just dry up and kill me before the end of this because I have no voice left. So I figure we might as well start off big and get going right off the hop. The Pittsburgh Penguins. Mm-hmm. Penguins lost forwards James Neal, Jussi Jokinen, Tanner Glass, and Joe Vitale, as well as defensemen Matt Niskanen, Brooks Orpik, and Derek England through this offseason. They also, they did lose a lot. They added Patrick Hornqvist, Nick Spaulding, Blake Como, Steve Downey, defenseman Christian Ehrhoff, which is, I think, a huge addition, and goaltender Thomas Greiss. I don't know how to say his name, really. The Penguins made some pretty big changes this offseason.
Yeah, well, GM and coach.
Oh, exactly. Starting there, they rid themselves of GM Ray Shiro, which I think was completely justified. He never really went about addressing the needs the Penguins need to fix most, and they're lower in their depth to forwards at all. As well as head coach Dan Bylsma, who I don't think was as justifiable of a firing because of how little Ray Shiro ever actually did for him. And they brought in Jim Rutherford and Mike Johnson. The thing with the Penguins, you're never going to deny them the fact that they can score.
Well, yeah, I mean, any team with Malkin and Crosby is going to score goals.
Exactly. Even when you have Chris Kunitz can put the puck in the net.
Yep.
Patrick Hornqvist can score. I think they're going to be fine without James Neal. I don't think losing James Neal is going to be.
Well, they were fine before they had him.
Exactly.
So I mean,
obviously he helps.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
I don't
obviously
think it's going to be a catastrophe that they've lost him. Their issues that, again, Ratio was never really able to fix was that their deeper bottom six players were just brutal, and their defensive unit lost a couple guys last year, and they were terrible as well. They couldn't keep the puck out of there. I mean, Fleury even had a decent year last year compared to his usual, and they just couldn't keep the puck out of the net. I think the loss of Jokinen hurts more than the loss of James Neal as a whole. But they did add Marcel Gosch at the deadline last year. Blake Homo is going to be a good depth kind of forward. Steve Downey is a pretty solid depth guy. If Bo Bennett can keep developing at the rate he's been developing at, I think they are finally kind of seeing a decent whole lineup come together. Honestly, I think losing Orpik in England is good for the team. It was that whole addition by subtraction thing. Obviously, losing Niskanen, he could score, but he was also really strongly protected. I think adding Christian Ehrhoff, getting him out of the shit show that is going to be the Buffalo Sabres this year.
And was the Buffalo Sabres. Exactly. I mean, really.
Ole Mata coming in and developing himself as well. I think they're going to develop pretty nicely into a good whole team. And I think the one thing that's kind of question marks around the Pittsburgh Penguins right now is still Marc-Andre Fleury. I think it was Jonathan Willis today put out an article showing that Fleury has been outplayed by his backups consistently in the past decade almost now. There's only been 1 or 2 years, I think two or 3 years, where he's outplayed at even strength his backup. And one of those years, they won the Stanley Cup. So I think right now his ability to keep the puck out of the net, they're obviously a playoff team. I don't think either of us kept them out of the playoffs.
No, I didn't.
No. Even Neil, I think, would be able to identify that the Pittsburgh Penguins are a good hockey team.
Yeah, Crosby.
Yeah, there you go.
Exactly. So,
and it can easily come down to just that. They have friggin' Sidney Crosby.
Exactly. And people like to bash on him for stupid reasons, but people also like to hate Evander Kane for stupid reasons. So, they almost were bounced by the Columbus Blue Jackets. Again, I'm not going to say that was completely Marc-Andre Fleury's fault, but he needs to get his life together if this team wants to go anywhere.
Yeah, I've never seen public opinion flip-flop on a goalie so much as Marc-Andre Fleury. Like, one time I hear, like, I mean, obviously I don't pay a ton of attention to the Pittsburgh Penguins, but, you know, I have my ear open to all the NHL news, and I mean, you know, one day, Marc-Andre Fleury's awesome, and the next day, oh wow, just a terrible starting goaltender, so inconsistent, blah blah blah, right? It's just crazy how much the public opinion of him goes, you know, hot and cold.
He was the gold medal winning goalie, right?
No.
In 2000. No, he wasn't. Who was in 2010?
He was on the team.
Luongo.
Yeah. Get it together, Neil. Jeez.
Oh, jeez. Hey, I know Crosby's on the Penguins.
Yeah.
So eat shit, Travis.
The one big moment that I think Fleury had that everyone remembers was with the juniors. I can't remember where that tournament was. It was before Grand Forks, before the lockout, but he went to go clear the puck and he shot it off his own defenseman.
Oh yeah,
went into the net and they ended up losing the game to the States. I think they ended up with a silver medal. But yeah, I think honestly this season for the Penguins, they have potential to win the Stanley Cup. They do. I think they're going to be better in that bottom six, and I think they've gotten better on their blue line. They're a good hockey team, but.
See how things pan out with the new. I mean, everything's a question mark with a new coach too, right? It could easily be a situation of, you know, maybe Dan Bylsma was holding them back in a way. I mean, we don't think so, and it seems pretty common opinion that firing him was a little bit of a weird decision.
Yeah,
but you know,
the way they went about firing him was really weird.
Yeah, and but I mean, who knows? They could bolster them and, you know, rally the troops just like Pomo coming in for the Jets, or it could be the exact opposite. None of the players wanted to get rid of Paul Maurice. Maybe they loved him, and they're gonna
Dan Bylsma.
Dan Bylsma. Maybe they loved him, and they're gonna feel that loss. So who knows? It's a bit of a question mark when you have a brand new coach coming in.
Yep. So next team in the Metropolitan Division that we're going to talk about are the New York Rangers. They subtracted themselves of Brad Richards, Derek Dorsett, Brian Boyle, Benoit Pouliot, Anton Strawman, and Justin Falk this offseason. They added Lee Stepniak, which I really was hoping would end up on the Jets. Matthew Lombardi, who I also was kind of hoping would end up on the Jets. Tanner Glass, who I was sitting there praying would not end up on the Jets.
Yeah.
Chris Mueller, Ryan Malone, so a lot of cocaine in New York.
Hey. New York's a perfect place for him. There's got to be tons of cocaine there.
Exactly, tons of cocaine in New York. Not that I would know, but
yeah, I'm just assuming. I mean,
they also added Dan Boyle, Matt Hunwick, Stephen Hampfer, and Michael Koska, ex-Leaf. Yeah. Well, a lot of change, despite being a team that made the Stanley Cup Finals last year.
Ex-Leafs always do better other places, so.
That's true. Well, he's already been in one other place.
That's true, yeah. He wasn't fresh off the Leafs, so maybe the effect won't be as large.
Exactly. I think a lot of the changes from the Rangers was due to the fact that they are just coming off, well, they had some salary cap issues.
It's the classic, you get to the Stanley Cup Finals / win the Stanley Cup, and
you brought in guys that you're right up against the cap. Yeah. I don't think anybody's ever going to be able to replicate what the Blackhawks did in 2010?
Yeah,
they won the Stanley Cup. Somehow got rid of tons of guys like Andrew Ladd and Dustin Byfuglien and all these guys, and then still are just amazing because Blackhawks.
No worries, whatever.
It's not fair. The thing is, they lost guys. Buying out Brad Richards is pretty much needed. He's getting protected pretty strongly with his minutes, and he's getting paid a lot of money to do it. He's a perfect example of why you don't give players huge, long contracts. I mean, he wasn't a bad player. He was just getting so grossly overpaid for what he was willing to do, what he could do. Yeah. That it just wasn't realistic.
How much was he making? Do you remember?
I feel like it was $7 or $8
million. It was a lot, yeah. And he had, I wrote it down, 51 points.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like on most situations, great. 51 points.
That's good.
That's fine.
But I mean, that's top money. $7 million, $8 million.
It's up there with David Clarkson. Yeah. Getting like 4 goals and getting paid $5 million.
I can't help but laugh anytime that contract comes up.
Just brutal. The Rangers also lost guys that were willing to play some tough minutes for them, and Brian Boyle and Derek Dorsett. They lost Anton Strawman, and it hurts them pretty significantly. Personally, I think they do have a decent solution with Rafael Diaz, and I know Kara's going to love me saying that because she loves Rafael Diaz.
Is that player 67? That was him, right?
Possibly.
That totally was.
Maybe, I don't know.
I think it is. It's a classic player, 67 or whatever it was, 65, can't remember.
I don't know. He was with the Canadiens, and then he went to Vancouver, I think, and neither team really did anything with him. They ended up in New York, and he plays good. He plays well. He's a good hockey player. He just keeps kind of bouncing around, not really getting consistently used anywhere. I don't expect to be a complete replacement, but I expect to at least be something for them. I loved that they brought in Lee Stepniak. He's a solid bottom 6 guy. I think bringing in Dan Boyle will partially help make up for the loss of Strawman, but I really don't know who's going to play difficult minutes for the Rangers. Like, they don't really have anybody who's specialized and done very well and succeeded in tough minutes. And
guys are going to have to step up.
Exactly. Yeah. And the thing is, those guys that they're expecting to step up have always gotten a heavy offensive push. They've been protected for the most part, and I just don't think Tanner Glass is going to be able to provide anything for any hockey. Yeah. He is quite possibly the worst hockey player in the NHL last year to get regular minutes. I think they're relying way too hard on Dominic Moore as it is. I like Dominic Moore, but he plays ridiculous minutes all the time. You can't just rely on him. It's not like he's fantastic at it. He does well, but he's not any sort of superstar. And they're definitely going to have to start piling everything back on McDonough and Girardi, and they're going to need Mark Stahl to step up this year on the blue line. And
a lot of things have to go right for the Rangers.
They do have Henrik Lundqvist.
And yes, that was one of my main points that when I was coming up with this stuff, I was just like, made all those same points you had, a couple, here and there, and then at the very end was just like Lundqvist.
Exactly.
And that's
the thing in the East that might be enough for you, right? Yeah. Like I don't think the East is going to be. I don't think it's going to be as lopsided towards the West as it was last year, or at least that everyone kind of saw it being last year. But the East, they don't have any superstar team. Like the Bruins are probably the closest thing they've got to us, a dominant, fantastic, well-built, top-to-bottom team. Yeah. But they have a lot of teams that can score or have fantastic goaltending. But the teams that have both are the ones that are going to do really well, and that's not many of them.
Exactly, yeah.
But a lot of times the East, if you can ride a great goaltender,
you're probably going to make the playoffs.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we'll see how much Lundqvist can kind of pull them along.
Yeah. But I mean, it's totally possible that they could go far again this year just on his shoulders.
Yeah. Once you get in the playoffs, it's...
Yep. It's just a goalie duel, right?
Exactly. Yep. The Philadelphia Flyers. They got rid of, or lost, Steve Downey, Scott Hartnell, Ty McGinn, Chris Newberry, Bruno Gervais, and Eric Gustafsson. And they added Pierre-Edouard Bellemare, Andrew Gordon, Blair Jones, Zach Stortini, RJ Umberger, Nick Schultz, and Michael Del Zotto, who is somebody that a lot of Jets fans are kind of iffy and potentially wanting to go for. The Flyers confuse me more than a lot of teams. They do something that looks smart, and they do a lot of things that are really, really dumb on their blue line. The one thing that I think you can always say about the Flyers that you're not, or well, now you can always say about the Flyers is that their power play is going to be fantastic.
It was pretty good last year, wasn't it?
Oh, exactly. Yeah. Their top unit power play is absolutely deadly. I don't think, obviously losing Scott Hartnell takes away from that a little bit. He was a pretty key piece of that, but Claude Giroux.
Yeah.
And Claude Giroux.
Yeah.
And Claude Giroux.
And Wayne Simmons smacking in all the rebounds.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm not too concerned about that dropping off. They have great special teams. Guys like Sean Couturier managing things on their penalty kill. My main concern with them that arises, their only kind of positive possession group is their top line. Mm-hmm. And the rest of them are all mostly all negative possession guys. And I just see that while they're scoring a lot of goals, and that's great, you want to score goals, you're relying really heavily on Steve Mason.
Okay, I was going to ask what their goalie situation was looking like, because
I don't want to rely on Steve Mason if I'm a French. Like, the Columbus Blue Jackets learned pretty quickly not to rely on Steve Mason.
Yeah.
He had a decent year last year, but he is a very Pavlik-like goaltender, where he has that one good year, and you're sitting there like, okay, well...
And they're still looking at Emery for the backup?
I think so, yeah.
I think they just gave him an extension in the offseason.
I mean... I'm not going to discount Sean Couturier. I'm not going to discount Matt Reed or RJ Umberger. They're solid depth forwards.
Yeah, absolutely.
But the blue line was Kimmo Timonen, who was good, but he has blood clots, and he's probably done forever. Like, he's gone. Just deal with that. That's why you picked up Del Zotto. He's kind of a big risk to kind of replace a guy of Kimmo Timonen's stature. Mark Streit is 36 years old. You're kind of praying that Braden Colburn can do everything. And other than that, you got, Andrew McDonald, Nick Grossman, Luke Shen. I mean, I used to love Luke Shen for that 1 year he was good. But
1 year.
I'm never going to get over the fact that Luke Shen got the Leafs James Van Riemsdyk.
That was
fantastic.
Yeah.
Steal of the year.
Absolutely.
Of the decade.
Yeah.
But I watched the Flyers, and I think it's just they're wearing orange, and they're cool to look at, and their fans are absolutely insane. Eagles fans, like...
They're playing right now.
Yeah. Are they winning?
I don't know. I'm paying attention to you.
Go look and tell me how Andrew Luck and...
Fantasy?
Yeah. I need Andrew Luck to not do things.
AKA they're losing because...
No, Andrew Luck's Colts.
No, I know. But I'm saying whoever you want to win is losing.
It's 7-3 for the Colts with 5 minutes in the first left.
Did Andrew Luck throw for that touchdown, or was it a run?
I don't know. Let's check
please
it
run.
out.
Please run.
If this is true, Travis Luck, it was a touchdown pass.
Oh, it's going to take me a little bit longer.
Get it together, Neil. Yeah, I can't go 0-2 in my fantasy football league right now. Right? I'm crying. Anyway, so yeah, the Flyers are the Flyers. Interesting team. I think they'll be in a run for it, but again, it's only because it's the East.
Fair enough.
Columbus.
Yes.
Columbus lost. RJ Umberger, Blake Como. I feel like they both went to the Flyers.
Yes, they did.
It's almost like they were in a trade for a certain Scott Hartnell.
I think
Derek
that might
McKenzie,
have been the situation.
Yeah, Jack Skilly, Nikita Nikkinen.
Nikitin. Yeah.
Fuck off. Nick
Just
Schultz.
trying to help a brother out.
Nick Schultz. They added Scott Hartnell and Brian Gibbons. I have such a man crush on the Columbus Blue Jackets. Yeah. It's unbelievable.
Yep.
I think I completely fell in love with them when their Twitter account started tweeting about fancy stats, and I was just like, yes.
Yeah, you lost your mind when that happened.
Oh, I was so happy. They're a solid possession team, and I think the thing with the Blue Jackets is they're such a not Eastern Conference team where they're just like, hey, let's get this one superstar and then suck everywhere else. Mm-hmm. They're like, hey, let's don't get a superstar.
Let's be decent.
And let's just be good in everything, kind of.
I saw an amazing tweet from the Columbus Blue Jackets Twitter account of Bobrovsky rolling up to some training thing, or I don't even know, purple suit. just straight out on the street, rolling out of his car, like full, like like a light purple suit with like purple everything, like the shoes, the socks, everything. I was like, I love Sergei Bobrovsky so much.
Remember how he could have been the answer to the Flyers' goaltending problems, but they were like, no,
nah,
we don't want you.
Yeah.
You're not good enough for us.
And then he wins a Vezina.
Honestly, I think the only thing keeping the Columbus Blue Jackets from being fantastically amazing is that Jack Johnson is their top pairing defenseman. He's so ridiculously bad that it's like so obvious he's bad too. That
I don't know much about his numbers. Is it that bad?
It's really bad.
Okay. I'll take your word for it.
Let's put it this way. In the hockey abstract,
yeah,
I think the way Rob worded it was he thinks that the Columbus Blue Jackets are keeping Jack Johnson on their top line or on their top pairing just to fuck with analytics people.
Oh, really?
Because so much of what else they do makes so much sense. And it's just like, this is so obviously perfect. And then there's just Jack Johnson.
I mean, just
you're just like, why?
Oh.
Why are you doing this to us, Columbus Blue Jackets?
That's funny.
Why? You could be the best, but you're just the worst because of this.
Yeah.
And it's so frustrating. Other than him, they have James Wisniewski. He's a fantastic top defenseman. He could be an awesome alternative to Jack Johnson, in my opinion. Fedor Tutin, he handles tough minutes for them.
That was an ex-Spelling Bee participant, I believe. So. Mr. Tutin?
Yep. Funny name.
Yeah.
Ryan Murray's a young kid, but he can do some good things for them. I think if they start pushing him to more difficult assignments, you've got a pretty freaking solid blue line. But no, Jack Johnson's going to play, so... and yeah, Bobrovsky and net obviously makes up for some of Jack Johnson.
Yeah.
But you can only make up for so much of Jack Johnson before Jack Johnson bites you in the ass.
They still haven't signed Ryan Johansson, the last I heard.
They'll sign him. They have to eventually. They have to. So.
Yeah, you would think.
I don't know how much they're going to sign him for.
Yeah, I don't know.
But
I'm assuming since they haven't signed him yet, he probably wants a decent amount of money. But he was their number one center last year. He broke the 30-goal plateau. I think he can do it again. I loved watching him last year. He's one of my favorite players last year, actually. And I'd love to see him continue to do it. But yeah, I hope and like Travis says, they should sign him again. But I hope they
should
do.
Just give him Jack Johnson. Be like, you know what? You can do whatever you want to Jack Johnson, and then we'll give you this much money. Anything you want. Anything you want. He's your bitch. That's the way it is. They also went out, and I think a lot of people aren't happy with Scott Hartnell's contract. And I kind of get it.
What's
he
the
makes a
damage
lot
there?
of money. I think it's like almost $5 million a year. It's not terrible when you look at the fact, again, David Clarkson. But
you shouldn't be using that as a measuring stick, probably.
But the thing is, I think he could be a really valuable addition in Columbus of just giving them that top great scoring line and having that chance for them to put a lot of pucks in the net. They're loaded with solid forwards who can play in tough situations, but they've always kind of been hesitant to really just score lots of goals. And I think I just love how they don't have to rely on superstars. I think it's because I see them and I'm like, why can't the Jets be you?
Yeah, exactly.
Because who the hell wants to go to Columbus? It's near Cleveland. Like, no one likes Cleveland except for apparently LeBron James now. But
apparently LeBron James has always loved Cleveland.
Yeah, that's true. Is that right, Neil? Has he always loved Cleveland?
Heck yeah.
Have you read the essay? Clearly you haven't read the essay.
No, I read the essay.
Oh, okay.
Because I remember reading the essay and being like, oh, Andrew Wiggins is so not playing here.
Yeah.
As if he didn't put him in the letter. That's
the number one reason I'm like, he obviously knew it was going to happen.
Oh, for sure.
Because he doesn't just automatically leave your number one overall pick, who's supposed to be the next version of you, out of this thing, if you expect him to be there.
Yep.
Like, come on, let's have a little discretion here, LeBron James.
Just making it way too obvious.
Anyways, Columbus. I would have loved to see them beat Pittsburgh last year. It would have been awesome.
I think we were both cheering for them in that series.
Oh, yeah. I picked them. I picked them to win that series.
There you go.
And they let me down.
I can't remember who I picked, but yeah.
And you know whose fault it is? Jack Johnson.
Oh, sorry. I thought it was the Travis effect.
No,
yeah,
it's Jack Johnson.
Oh, okay.
It's all his fault.
You weren't blaming it on him last year. You were blaming it on yourself.
Yeah, it was my fault. Honestly, I think if they can take a step forward with their special teams, again, Scott Hartnell was a part of that deadly Philadelphia Flyers power play. They could take a swipe at the best. I think they're going to be a playoff team. I have them in my playoffs.
Yeah, me too.
So we'll see. My fingers are crossed for them. I hope they do well. I hope they do good things. Anything else you want to say about the Columbus Blue Jackets?
No, the only thing I wanted to touch on was Ryan Johansson. Hopefully he gets re-upped there.
Love you, Lumbus. Washington Capitals.
Yes.
Subtractions. include Mikhail Grabovski, who I wanted to come to the Jets, Dustin Penner, who I think should still come to the Jets, but he's going to go end up playing in Europe because for some reason no one wants to give him a contract. Tyson Strachan?
Strachan, yeah.
English. No, that's English.
Yeah.
You know it's not English.
What?
Yaroslav Halak.
That's not.
Those are all the subtractions. Additions, Chris Connor, Matt Niskanen, Brooks Orpik, and Justin Peters.
Travis, how do you feel about Brooks Orpik? Please tell us.
Okay, well, Brooks Orpik. He's the Dion Phaneuf of Brooks Orpiks.
What?
He's basically Dion Phaneuf in that he, except for a little worse because he's older, but he plays way too much, and he's not put in situations that he can handle. I don't understand why he's getting paid so much money, to tell you the truth. He's not a great defenseman, or at least not great to go up against tough players. And I think as a whole, how this team is going to do is how Barry Trotz utilizes them. Ever since 2010, when the funny thing is it was Halak, stood on his head and stole that series away from what was an absolutely unbelievable Washington Capitals team. They have just been...
Yeah, well, I think we touched on that before, how thanks to Halak...
Oh, exactly. You see it all the time. One goalie stands on his head and teams just shoot themselves in the foot.
Yeah.
And it pisses me off that the Boston Bruins didn't do that this year. It makes me so mad. I was hoping they would just but they didn't.
It's almost like they learn from others' mistakes.
It's almost like we've done this to so many teams.
Yeah, exactly.
We're not doing this to ourselves.
Yeah.
But yeah, George McPhee just made things worse. Therefore, he has no job anymore. Justifiably so. Adam Oates, I think, was just clashing with guys too much. Therefore, he has no job. Probably justifiably so. And now Brian McLennan and Barry Trotz are in charge. And honestly, I think just so much this season is going to come down to how he uses his players. Ovi and Backstrom, I don't get the hate for Alexander Ovechkin. If you're saying Alexander Ovechkin isn't a good hockey player, you should probably look at yourself and be like, I don't know what I'm talking about. Because Alexander Ovechkin is a pretty fucking good hockey player.
Yeah, he's unreal.
He has that Evander Kane kind of I'm going to lose my mind on you and just do everything I possibly can to win mentality, except for he can score goals pretty much at will.
Yeah.
He obviously gets a big offensive push, and he's just plays offense.
Why not?
Exactly. Why would you not do that when all he needs to do is score a bazillion goals?
Yeah.
It's not his fault that the rest of the team is just like, no, we're not going to do anything.
Yeah.
You're going to score 50, and the rest of us are going to score maybe triple that with all of our other players.
Yeah, exactly.
And then Backstrom's just like, hey, I'm going to pass you the puck a lot, and we're just going to score goal after goal.
Yeah.
And
all day.
Maybe eventually someone will help us. But
probably not.
See, I'm just saucing you.
It's not like, you're just saucing them.
Just saucing you passes right now.
Yeah.
All day. And you're just going to snipe them from the top of the circle.
Every time.
Where if Evander Kane shoots it, it's terrible.
Yeah. If it's
you can just shoot from here all the time.
Yeah, all day long.
And score a lot of goals. See, I'm still saucing.
You're still saucing. You haven't stopped.
I think it would be a mistake for them to change this, but admittedly, the team, it's a little after them. Losing Grabovski and Penner, I think, takes away two of their best possession guys. And they're going to be relying pretty heavily again on Eric Fair, who was brutally used as a Jet. And although he's getting older, is a pretty serviceable guy. I'm choking on my dead throat right now. For a second season, they're going to need Troy Brouwer and Joel Ward to be playing tough roles. And they played well last year, but I don't think you can expect them to do that again. And I just don't see the Caps really going anywhere until the rest of the team kind of steps up. Obviously, their biggest change this offseason came in the back end. I'm not a huge fan of either Orpik or Niskanen's deals, as I've clearly stated before. But their usage, again, is going to dictate their value. If Niskanen gets that offensive push and can keep scoring goals, maybe alongside of Mike Green, I feel like that's going to eventually be a pairing, and they're just going to shoot and score a bunch because neither of them are really defensive specialists. That's great for them, but again, who's playing those tough minutes?
Yeah, exactly.
Are you making Brooks Orpik play those tough minutes very poorly?
Apparently he can't handle, yeah.
Exactly. Like, Carlson and Olsner are their two, I think, workhorses, but I don't know how well they can. They've done pretty well at a decent kind of splits before, but I just don't know if you put a lot of the pressure on them, if they're going to be able to handle. Are they going to be able to shut down Sidney Crosby? Or are we going to end up maybe with them both in the playoffs again where it's just hat tricks everywhere? Which, fucking awesome.
Yeah, that's great.
But I'm not saying that's any sort of recipe for success.
Exactly. It'll be interesting to see how Barry Trotz comes into this whole equation, because he's been, how many years was he with Nashville?
Since their existence.
Yeah, and what big stars have they had there?
Oh, exactly.
So
this is a whole new animal.
This is completely uncharted territory in terms of having one guy who is your superstar. So it'll be interesting to see how he manages that.
Well, I mean, you could say Shea Weber, but again, that's kind of a different thing. It's not offensive star.
Yeah,
it's
defensive
star and your goaltender. That's what he built around. You can't really do that. Like, Washington, again, has a very Jets-esque approach to their defense, where it's like, hey, let's sign everybody except for to way more money and see what happens. Mm-hmm. And I would say that they have pretty, not equal skill levels, but they've spent so much more money on their defense and have just as many guys that are in these long-term kind of iffy deals that I miss the Southeast.
Yeah.
Because, ugh.
Man, the Southeast.
Ugh.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're just so expensive, and I just feel bad for Ovechkin because this is all going to get blamed on him. And I feel like I want to see him succeed so badly, but I just don't think the Caps are doing things that are going to help them win. And Trevor, if you think I'm a complete idiot, Caps fan, tell me. And maybe we can talk about this.
I saw a little bit of outrage coming from him on those Orpik and Niskanen.
Oh, yeah. I think anybody who's defending those is a little nutty.
Yeah.
I think Niskanen could be a useful player, but again, it depends on their usage.
Yeah.
So Barry Trotz has a lot of work to do this year.
He's got his work cut out for him.
I actually read something interesting about it. Apparently, once he got the job there, he started asking his friends around the league, like, hey, what do you tell your players or your teams when you're playing the Capitals? And he said, like, all the answers were, don't let them score on the rush, they don't block shots, and don't take penalties.
Yeah, obviously.
That's basically it.
Yeah, don't.
So he's like, okay, so draw penalties. We need to do more than score on the rush, and maybe we should block some shots.
Yeah, there you go.
But yeah, he said that, I think the quote was like, he kind of got an idea of how he wants to adjust things and change things up a little bit and shape things based on what everybody said, how they were beating them.
Right.
Again, they've missed the playoffs. Like, last year was the first time they missed playoffs in years. Mm-hmm. So it's not like they're completely terrible. And I think I'm making this sound a lot worse than it really is. I mean, Holtby is a serviceable goaltender. They're a decent team still.
It has the potential to be bad.
Oh, exactly. That's just it. There's that fear right there where it's like, this could go really, really south because we've made some iffy moves.
Yeah, we made big changes, and yeah.
Welcome to the Eastern Conference, everybody. You haven't noticed a trend.
Super excited for the Eastern Conference. I'm not going to lie.
Well, it's going to be exciting. Yeah. It's just not going to be good. It's not, well, that's just it. Like, I think we've talked about this before about how the East is so, look at how exciting this game is. The West is so, look at how it's supposed to be played.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's like the San Antonio Spurs versus, I don't know, who's crazy good in the East, but fundamentally in the NBA. Like,
good in the East, but fundamentally bad?
Just like entertaining to watch, but like
not that great.
I don't know. I'm trying to think here. I was gonna say the Knicks. That's probably a good one.
But yeah, it's just NBA wise, it's like the West is just full of Spurs teams where it's just these well built machines. Well, I guess you can't really use the Sharks as that example. They've done some stupid things, but the Kings and the Blues and the Blackhawks and all these teams that are just built to goalie out and well and deep and scary and fucking shit for the Jets.
Yes.
And then the East is where the Leafs should suck, but a good long run could get them in the playoffs kind of thing. Mm-hmm. Like, any of these teams could just be brutal, and any of these teams could,
be
except
decent.
For the Sabres, could be decent.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
except for the Sabres. Gives you a little bit of idea of where we're going in the direction with the Sabres.
Yeah, but let's talk about the New Jersey Devils.
All right, sure.
They got rid of Anton Volchenkov, Mark Fane, and I hope Marty Brodeur. I'm taking the approach in this that Brodeur is not coming back to the Devils.
I wouldn't bank on it.
And they added Mike Camilleri, Martin Havlat, and Scott Clemenson. And honestly, I think their biggest and probably one of their most beneficial moves was the fact that Brodeur will probably not be playing for them anymore. Letting Schneider just take the reins is 100%, in my opinion, the right move.
Yeah.
One of the things, again, I was reading the hockey abstract. One of the things that stuck out to me is he said if you applied Schneider's save percentage to Brodeur's shots over the last 2 years, obviously there's faults in that. Yeah. He's obviously not playing all the games, blah, 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 blah. The Devils would have prevented 36 goals.
Whew, that's a lot.
Brodeur has been painstakingly brutal
He's like
the last few, like
he's been close, like Pavic levels or worse.
Pavlik.
Yeah, for the past few years.
And people are just like, hey, he's Marty Brodeur.
He's Marty Brodeur. Yep. He makes like one acrobatic save in.
Even then, like it doesn't even matter for me. It's just because his name.
Yeah, it's true.
It's him signing in Florida would have just been the most typical thing for them to do. It's like, yeah, let's get a guy who has a name.
Yeah,
but
experience,
grit,
yeah, leadership.
But yeah, getting rid of Brodeur and making it their goal to avoid the shootout like the plague have to be two things that would turn them around. They went 0 for 13 in shootouts last year.
Yikes.
That's half of those, and they're in the playoffs. They were one of the best possession teams in the league, and that's one of Steve Simmons' big points. It's like, oh, the Devils didn't make the playoffs, so you're all wrong. It's like, well, the shootouts kind of screwed them.
Yeah, big time.
Like, I think the Devils... They're going to make I think they're going to make the playoffs this year. They added Mike Camilleri. I think that's going to assist their top end scoring. Should Yager ever become human and drop off a little bit,
it's not going to happen. Maybe when he's like 75.
Patrick Elias, Travis Zajac keep doing their thing. I think they have solid forward depth with Michael Ryder and Martin Havlat. A bonus if Ryan Clough kind of gets somewhat closer to his old form. He had a pretty rough year last year, but if he can take a step back to where he used to be, he's a decent bottom grouping player, I think. Their blue line's obviously, again, that one spot of concern like every Eastern team kind of has.
I'm sensing a bit of a trend here.
Yeah. Now that Mark Fane is gone, a lot of their fortunes kind of rely in the hands of Andy Green, who, again, capable player, but it comes down to how much he really relied on Mark Fane is kind of the big question here. Mm-hmm. But Corey Schneider, he's a hell of a goaltender.
Yeah, he is.
And I think they've got the forward depth to keep going with it.
He had very difficult assignments from the hockey abstract.
Exactly. He's right up there with Lundqvist. He's up there with Tuukka Rask. He's up there with good goaltenders. It's just he had so much time taken away because Brodeur had his name.
Exactly.
So I think the Devils make a decent turn this year. But again, if their blue line falls apart,
there you go.
Who the hell knows?
Yep.
Carolina Hurricanes.
Carolina.
Who was it? Somebody on Twitter was in Carolina for Panthers game. I think it was I can't remember who it was. I apologize I know you listen to the podcast. You've tweeted us before. I'm sorry. I can't think of your name right now. He was at a Panthers game and Carolina football.
Yeah.
Apparently they have a stadium-wide prayer before the game.
Really?
And I was like, seriously? Like this
pretty aggressive.
Like, I was like, wow.
Yeah, that's not something you...
Fun fact about Carolina.
Yeah, fun fact about the southern states.
Exactly. Anyways, subtractions are Manny Malhotra and Justin Peters. Additions, Brad Malone, Jay McClement, and Tim Gleason. Remember when Cam Ward was good at hockey?
That was a while ago.
Yeah. It was a while ago. Those days are kind of over.
Yeah, big time.
Eric Stahl, he's getting kind of old. And things aren't looking so good in Carolina, I think, right now.
No, not really. Jeff Skinner, though. I love Jeff Skinner.
Yeah. The Hurricanes have kind of taken the Jets' approach to getting better, which is doing nothing. And they're just going to kind of sit there and do nothing some more.
Very good.
They have a bad goaltender. Their stars are getting older and just kind of wasting away. And they have a couple young guys who could be really good. But who knows, because they play with crap.
Yeah.
I really don't see many good things happening for the Hurricanes this year. Maybe Anton Khudobin he has the potential to take Cam Ward's job. Just like Hutchison could have the potential to take Pavlik's job.
But probably won't.
Exactly. Or Al Montoya could take his job, but contract in dollars.
Yes.
Plays a big role in the NHL right now. And I think outside the scoring abilities of Semin and Skinner and Eric Stahl, and the starting of a shutdown line with guys like Nathan Gerby and maybe Jordan Stahl, they're both decent bottom six guys. There's just nothing else.
Yeah.
So you make up what? A line and a half there. You still
Perfect.
Have 2.5
Got a lot of lines to go.
To fill.
Yeah.
They just don't have very many.
It's the anti-Western Conference model.
Exactly. I actually kind of like the Hurricanes' blue line. People are gonna yell at me for this, but Ron Hainsey was a great defenseman for them last year. Yeah. I think he probably carried Bogosian more than people thought here. John Michael Lyles can play against tougher competition. He wasn't great in Toronto, but he was decent in Carolina. And I think the Leafs are holding some of his contract for them. Tim Gleason coming back on a cheap contract. He's not fantastic, but again, he's serviceable, and I think it's $1.2 million isn't bad for him.
Yeah.
Andre Sekera and Justin Falk are pretty capable guys to be on a top pairing. Again, there's pieces, parts, just like the Jets. There's parts.
Nothing complete.
Exactly. Yeah. It's you got like a pinky and a middle finger, so you can flip people off and make a wish. But other than that, not much else you can really do.
Interesting analogy.
Yeah, that's still like there's not much of a hand there. So
fair enough.
For sure, you would have went with the thumb.
I don't know. Down. The thumb's so useful, though. They just don't have that kind of player.
They don't have that kind of utility, Neil. Come on.
Use the useless pinky.
Yeah, you can make a pinky promise.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that's too funny.
They promised a lot of money to Cam Ward. That's pretty useless.
There you go.
That's almost as good as dynamite in a blender.
Yeah.
But yeah, sorry, Carolina.
It's too bad.
Things aren't going so well. Apparently, you might relocate, so just keep your heads going.
Interesting.
Now, one of my favorite little toys.
Yes.
The New York Islanders.
Yeah, very interesting stuff.
They subtracted Pierre-Marc Bouchard, Radek
Martinek is how I've heard it pronounced,
and Evgeny Nabokov. And they added Mikhail Grabovski, Nikolai Kulemin, who combined to make one of the best ALS Ice Bucket challenges I've ever seen. Joe still adds and does his.
Very good.
They added Corey Conacher. They added TJ Brennan, Yaroslav Halak, and Chad Johnson. I really like how the Islanders look right now.
Yeah.
Halak and Johnson alone are pretty big upgrades in net, which I think would have netted them a few more wins. Tavares not being hurt is obviously a big thing for them.
Tavares is so good.
Kyle Okposo can score goals even without Tavares, apparently. Mikhail Grabovski is fantastically effective. Wherever he goes, he just causes good things to happen and goals to be scored. I think Nick Kulemin might be slightly overpaid. Actually, he is overpaid. But when those two were together in Toronto, along with Clark MacArthur,
magic.
They were at one point in time the best second line in hockey.
Yeah.
Period. They were amazing together. Sucks that Clark MacArthur can't be there, but I think the two of them together can kind of rekindle some of that. I think when Kulemin's used properly, not like Randy Carlyle was using him, he's an effective, big, strong, get to the net, cause some goals to happen player. Whenever I used to watch him play, he was that guy that might have not gotten an assist or a goal, but he was doing something that caused the goal to happen.
Yeah.
He was just there. I think that Michael Grabner is one of the most ridiculously underrated players in the league. He plays ridiculously hard minutes, great on the penalty kill, and is a positive possession guy.
I mean, obviously biased from the Moose days, but I love Michael Grabner.
I love Michael Grabner.
Yeah.
The fact that the Canucks just kind of let him go off to nothingness is ridiculous.
Yeah.
And I think shows a huge gaping problem with what's going on with the Canucks.
Yeah.
Guys like Franz Nielsen and Josh Bailey can play tough minutes. Like, they have a good group of forwards. They have a full good group of forwards. We get Ryan Strome's a young player there. Anders Lee is a young player who can come up and play. They have prospects such as Griffin Reinhart and Ryan Pollock. Like, it was a good offseason to be an Islanders fan.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, their blue line terrifies the fuck out of me. I wouldn't really want to put all my trust in a top pairing featuring Travis Hamonic and Calvin DeHaan.
It's a very young top pairing.
Like, they're capable, but again, they're not the Zdeno Charas of the world.
New.
So you can obviously make upgrades, but it's nice for them because now they can look at it and be like, okay, well, we're good everywhere else. Where do we need to focus our attention? Our blue line.
And who knows, maybe they'll even shore that up in the season.
Exactly. Yeah. Someone's going to be making trades. Things happen during the season all the time. But again, if one of their rookies can step up, I think they can make a decent push. And adding Yaroslav Halak and Chad Johnson are two capable goaltenders that could push them to at least league average goaltending, which would be an improvement over last year, if not better. So I'm high on the Islanders.
Yeah, I see them. I have them in the playoffs.
Yep. So on that note, just out of this division, who do you think are the three teams coming and taking those top three spots in this division?
I'm going to go with... I'm not going to give you a first, second, third, but I'll give you just who I think are going to be in those top three. I'm going to go Islanders. I'm going to go Jackets and Penguins.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm going with Pittsburgh, and I'm going with Columbus, and I'm going with New Jersey, actually. A bit of obvious spoiler, I do have the Islanders as one of the wild card teams that I picked. But yeah, I have Pittsburgh, Columbus, and New Jersey is kind of the 3 teams that take those 3 spots right there. I don't think, again, it's the East. Any of these guys can bounce around.
Yeah, it's
one
crazy.
thing that I found kind of surprising is neither of us had the Rangers in there.
Yeah.
So I feel bad for King Henrik, but sorry, bro. Get a better team.
Yeah.
The sad thing is I could see him still putting up fantastic numbers and then just not having a team capable of getting into the playoffs.
It's completely possible. So,
I feel bad for the guy.
He will have fantastic numbers.
It's Henrik Lundqvist,
yeah,
of course.
It's guaranteed he will. It's just a matter of what else goes on around him.
Could you imagine the Jets had Henrik Lundqvist?
No, I don't even want to think about that.
Or even someone like half of as good as him. Atlantic Division.
Aye.
The Leafs are in the Atlantic Division.
Yes, they are.
This is going to make me cry. Boston Bruins subtracted Jerome McGinley, Sean Thornton, Andre Mazzaros, and Chad Johnson, and added nobody.
All right.
Salary cap issues.
Yeah.
It annoys me, like I said before, that the Bruins didn't go crazy and blow everything up because they lost to the Habs. I really wish they would have. It was really hoping they'd be stupid. I'm reluctant to say that losing Iginla is going to really hurt the Bruins, which is ridiculous that a usually consistent 30-goal scorer being lost isn't going to kill your team. Obviously, it doesn't help them that he's gone by any stretch of the imagination, just like it doesn't help them that Tyler Seguin's gone. But it opens up a spot on the scoring line, and I think Louis Eriksson, assuming he doesn't get concussions all year, could fill. But what does help them is the fact that Sean Thornton's not on the team anymore.
Yes.
And I don't give a shit what any of them say about what he gave in the locker room and in the community and blah, blah. I don't care. He would not help you win on the ice at all.
I was looking at like a couple of different articles on the off-season roundup of what the Bruins did, and every single one, I read like 3 or 4 articles, and every single one was just like, they're going to be hurt by the loss of Sean Thornton. I was like, lol, definitely not.
Maybe their hearts will hurt a little bit, but then they'll start winning more games. Yeah. Like, no. Go look at any player usage chart from the Bruins last year. Generally on those charts, if you're on the bottom right of that chart, it's like you're a severely protected player, and usually those guys have good Corsi numbers. Sean Thornton's down there. He's like the biggest circle, and it's just negative Corsi. It's huge negative in the easiest minutes you can play, and I'm just like, how did such a good team give you a job for so long, you piece of poo?
That's funny.
And then at this other end, you have Patrice Bergeron, who's just like, hey, I'm Jesus.
Yeah, no.
I'm
unreal.
Jesus of hockey
world.
Yeah,
seriously, though.
You dick. Scoring twice against the fucking Leafs in Game 7, you goddamn prick. I'm
Jesus.
Yeah, basically.
But
man. Bergeron's going to keep being Bergeron. Chara's going to keep being Chara. Lucic is going to keep being Lucic. Marchand's going to keep being the useful, effective piece of shit that Marchand is.
That everyone hates, but he's so damn effective.
Riley Smith did good things for them last year. David Krejci is one of their worst possession players, and he was their leading goal scorer. Perfect. So even their bad players are their best players.
Yep.
It's bullcrap. I don't like his contract because whatever. I also don't like him because he's a Bruin, but fuck off. Somebody just not be good, please.
Yep.
Like, you can say maybe their bottom 6 is their weakness, but I'm pretty sure that's just because their top 6 is so fucking good that they don't need their bottom 6 to do anything. And just saying in their blue line, Chara, Boychuk, Dougie Hamilton are all freaking good hockey players.
Which is just ridiculous because he was, a draft pick from 2 years ago or 3? He's only played 2 seasons or 1.5? Stupid.
The Jets could have had him, I believe.
Yeah.
Torrey Krug steps in. It's just like, hey, I'm going to score a bunch of goals and be a power play
Comes out of
beast.
nowhere from, the NCAA? And he's just like, I'm just super good in the NHL now. Whatever.
And, Tuukka Rask.
Yeah.
So, fuck you, Boston.
Boston's going to be good again.
It's so stupid. Go away, you dicks. In case you didn't notice, I have them in the playoffs.
Yeah, I love how we started off with saying how they lost 6 players and then didn't gain anyone, and they're still going to be super good.
Yeah. In the last 2 years, they've lost Jerome McGinley and Tyler Seguin, and they're still going to be the best team they're still probably going to be the best team in the East.
Most likely, yes.
Go away.
Yeah, big time.
Also, screw you, Ottawa. Just giving them Chara.
Yeah, really, though.
Fuck. Ugh. Tampa Bay.
Oh, man.
Lost Teddy Purcell, BJ Crombie, Nate Thompson, Cocaine Head, Ryan Malone, Tom Pyatt, Keith Ollie, Mike Koska, Anders Lindback, and Cedric Desjardins. They added...
Another ex...
No.
Did I have him on the? I think I had him on the.
I might have played for the Moose.
No. Sorry, I was talking spelling bee.
Oh,
he was on the spelling bee at one point, I think.
Yeah, probably.
But we beat him when he played for the AHL affiliate of the Tampa Bay Lightning. When he came and played the Moose, and we chanted at him from behind his net multiple times.
Yep.
Desjardins, which is just a terrible chant, but we did it anyways.
That was brutal. And they tried Cedric. It was just like
yeah, and then everybody was like Cedric. It's like that's weak.
Fuck you for having a weak.
Yeah, we're like, oh, it's so hard to chant your name, but we want to beat you.
They added Jerome Sampson, Mike Blunden, Brendan Morrow, Antron Strawman, Jason Garrison, Matthew Kron?
Never heard of him.
I don't know. And Evgeny Nabokov. There's a lot of good young possession benefiting forwards on the Tampa Bay Lightning.
Mm. They were good last year.
And then there's Ryan Callahan, who could literally destroy everything by himself.
It's just impressive.
Or at least that would be the case. Because they have Steven Stamkos.
Oh.
Who is just like Ovechkin on steroids.
Yeah, he's unreal.
Or cocaine, maybe.
No, well, Ryan Malone's gone, so can't do cocaine.
Oh, great. So now we're going to have a cocaine-deprived Stamkos.
Yeah.
Who's pissed because he's deprived of his cocaine.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding, everybody. Steven Stamkos does not use cocaine.
Well, as far as we know.
I don't want to get sued. So, no cocaine usage that I know of from Steven Stamkos. Even without Marty St. Louis, this is a decent team. And I don't think Stamkos is going to suffer at all without him. The guy breaks his leg and it's still like, hey, I'm going to be best. I'm going to be the best.
Yeah,
so
whatever.
Sorry. And then you have to think about their rookies in Andre Palat, Tyler Johnson. Great rookie finds last year.
What's his face? I lost it. Never mind. Sorry. Keep going.
Nikita Kucherov did all right in a protected role. And don't forget that the fact that Jonathan Drouin...
Yes, that's the one. Okay, yep, that was the one.
...is waiting to come into the NHL and just be like, hey, I'm good.
Oh, man, he has some of the best hands I've seen ever. Like, he is just nuts. I thought he was going to be in the NHL last year. And they
were just like, you know what? Chill.
Yeah, just take your time.
We got the playoffs
to
coach you.
Don't even worry about it.
We have these two guys that we know about.
Yeah.
So you just chill. We'll let these guys come in.
And you can develop some more.
They'll do a bunch. Yeah. And then you're going to come in this year.
Win the Calder.
And do a bunch of good things.
Yeah.
And it's all going to be fantastic for us because screw everybody.
Yeah.
They're pretty much the only team that's going to come out of the Southeast, the old Southeast division, and be like, hey, we're actually good at hockey.
Yeah, big time.
Again, there's a little bit of depth about a little bit of concern about the Lightning's depth at forward. Bottom six is, again, kind of iffy. But I think they did well to fix up their blue line. Anton Strawman coming in is going to provide a good mix. Victor Hedman, Jason Garrison, who's worked difficult minutes in the past. And having those guys is going to have that trickle-down effect on guys like Matthew Carl and Mike Barbero. And letting them have easier minutes just makes them overall better as a team. And again, Ben Bishop, Vezina candidate. If he can repeat last year, this is gonna be a great team.
And if he basically the reason they got bounced from the playoffs is because he was injured. So if they get back to that spot and he doesn't get injured, then they're moving on in the playoffs, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I think Tampa they're doing good things.
Yeah,
they're coming together. So, yay, Leafs division.
Yeah.
Montreal Canadiens.
Montreal.
Got rid of Brian Giunta, Daniel Briere, Thomas Vanek, Ryan White, Louis LeBlanc, and Josh Georges. They added P.A. Parento. Oh, damn it. Manny Malhotra. Yeah, I'll take it for them. Let's go suck over there. Yuri Sekak, I think. I'm not sure. Tom Gilbert and Mike Weaver. I personally did not expect the Habs to make it nearly as far as they did in the playoffs last year. Not just because I hate them with a passion.
Nobody expected them to go that far.
Mostly because Therrien was a freaking moron most of the season. Just made really questionable decisions. And was like, hey, I'm going to turn into a real NHL head coach for the playoffs. And also, a couple guys named Carey Price and PK Subban.
Yeah.
They do good things. This offseason, they actually did rid themselves of a couple terrible possession players. And I don't really love that they brought in Manny Malhotra for them. I mean, as a Leaf fan, it's great. But I'm a big fan of P.A. Parento. I'm really jealous that they got him. I guess I can't really love him anymore. But they do have a solid top scoring line. Their secondary scoring is there. They're a bit of a liability with the puck. Again, I'm not sold that Michel Therrien's a good head coach. I think he makes a lot of stupid decisions, and he could really wreck this team quickly if he does dumb things. Their forwards, like I said, a bit iffy possession-wise. They did make a decent upgrade to their defensive group by adding Tom Gilbert. PK Subban is obviously PK Subban. He is a generational talent.
Yeah.
Markov is a pretty good guy, especially if you can bump him down to the second pairing. You've got good depth in your defensive group. They have a great goaltender and good goaltender in Carey Price. I find it weird they just seem to be racking up prospect goaltenders in depth at the goalie position. I don't know if they just feel like putting a fire under Carey Price is what he needs, but when he's good, he is freaking good.
Yeah, no, when Carey Price is on his game, he's as good as anyone.
But them having both a good defensive group and a good goaltender is just such a rare feat in the Eastern Conference that it alone could get them into the playoffs.
Very true.
And again, if Tyrion can stick to what he was doing in the playoffs, I think they're going to be a good team, which infuriates me to say. But if he goes back to, please, just be regular season Michel Therrien. Please, please, please.
Bench PK Subban all the time.
Oh, yeah. It could be an interesting season for the Habs. If the injury bug bites them, they can fall into some problems, but they're going to be good, I think.
Yeah, I agree with that.
You know who else is annoyingly good all the time? The Detroit Red Wings.
Yes. Even when they're not good, they're just good enough.
Yep. They got rid of David Legua, Patrick Eaves, Michael Samuelson, Corey Emerton, Jordan Tutu, and Todd Bertuzzi. They added Andy Miel and Kevin Porter, a couple two-way contract guys, no names. I still can't believe the Red Wings made the playoffs last year. I'm even more shocked that Mike Babcock didn't win the Jack Adams last year. Fucking stupid people. He deserved it. Strangely enough, the Red Wings' biggest move is that Datsuk and Zetterberg are going to be healthy, probably. Those are gigantic additions. They're great. They're not only shutdown guys, but they're Datsuk and Zetterberg, so they can play tough. They're the lad and Ladle on steroids, basically.
I think they ended the season last season with the most man games missed due to injury. So, I mean, you can't think that they're going to have that much of bad luck 2 years in a row. So, hopefully they'll do better. I mean, I've been a Wings fan ever since I've been a hockey fan, so I'd like to see them succeed.
Yeah, fucking bullcrap. The thing is, if Gustav Nyquist can replicate what he did last year, if Alfredson can come back and be an effective player, again, he might not come back, you never know. But even if he leaves, Thomas Tatar, Riley Sheehan, I think's his name, he had a good year last year. Thomas Yurko, they're prepping to step up. Despite shelter time last year, if they can start easing them into harder minutes, let them play with Datsuk and Zetterberg, I can't really think of two better guys to play with.
And whenever they bring up somebody from the AHL or a draft pick or whatever, they're always just magically good anyways. So
exactly. Their secondary scoring, I don't know where it'll come from. They've managed to find some last year.
Yeah.
But again, Datsuk and Zetterberg, they're just a good hockey team. It's frustrating. Defensive depth might be, again, an issue, but again, Jimmy Howard's a solid goaltender, and it's the same story over and over again. They could be good. Things could go bad, but I think they're the Red Wings. They make the playoffs. It's what they do.
That'll be, 22 years this year?
More than that.
I thought it was
24,
20.
I think.
Oh,
now.
really?
I don't think they've missed it since I've been alive.
That's crazy.
That's annoying. Because, again, we've just listed off the Boston Bruins, Montreal Canadiens, Tampa Bay Lightning, and Detroit Red Wings as four teams that could make the playoffs, and we haven't gotten to the Leafs yet.
Yeah.
So,
I
think we know where this is going. Before we get to the Leafs, the Ottawa Senators. Oh, Ottawa. You had such good things going for you.
They did at one point.
They lost Jason Spezza, Alex Hemsky, Stefan DaCosta. They added Alex Chason and David Legwand. Ottawa's had some trouble drawing fans out into the middle of nowhere where they play hockey. To the point where this year they're trying a soccer-esque approach for 10 games. They're trying to get like a little soccer section where it's just like the Red Army. No, that's not what they call themselves.
Oh, yeah, that's probably a bad choice.
Something like that.
Oh, my God.
Something like that. It is some sort of red thing.
Oh, that's great.
It's the red something.
Yeah.
But it's up in the 300s where they're like a special dedicated area
like
where
of super fans or whatever.
Yeah, they're like letting fans lose their minds.
Okay, yeah.
It's because they're trying to get some sort of atmosphere in that shitty arena. But yeah, great. Sadly, I don't think their product on the ice is going to help them draw fans too much. They were going good for the Sens a couple years ago, but yeah, their problems just outweigh their strengths right now. I like the Bobby Ryan, Kyle Turris, Clark MacArthur line. I love Clark MacArthur. He re-upped there, which makes me sad. He was a Thrasher. Did you know that?
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
When? How long ago was that?
A few before he was a Leaf, so it was 4 or 5 years ago.
Wow.
He wanted to take him to arbitration. They're just like, just leave.
Oh.
And they just didn't sign him. And he just walked away to the Leafs. And then he was like, hey, I'm a good hockey player. He's like 20-something years old. He's getting a little older, but still, like, he's a good hockey player. And the Thrashers were just like, see ya. Yeah. The Jets could have used him. So, I'm just continuing that trend of this franchise just letting good players go for nothing. Either way, all terrific possession guys who can play against tough opponents and succeed at it. So they played pretty much the hardest minutes in Ottawa last year, and they finished 3rd, 4th, and 5th in scoring on the team. So, pretty good guys.
Yeah.
Other forwards aren't too bad either. David Legwand's a decent depth guy with a lot of need. There's a team with a lot of youth in their forward grouping. Obviously, losing Spets and Hemsky hurts, but that's definitely not the biggest blunder in the season, offseason for the Sens. They have no defensemen.
Let's list them.
Sorry.
We got?
They have Erik Karlsson.
Yeah, of course.
And then other than that, they have no defensemen.
Awesome.
They have Jared Cowan, who is just kind of been a disappointment as a whole. Eric Gryba has been given their tough assignments and has done nothing with it. Chris Phillips, I think,
still there. He's still there.
He's still there, but he's useless. He doesn't do anything for them. He's just old and
he owns
chills.
a couple of microbreweries in the Ottawa area.
Yeah. Good for him.
That's like literally all I know about Chris Phillips. Apparently they're really good.
Yeah, well,
like, good.
You know what's not good? His fucking performance on the ice.
Yeah.
So he should probably get that together. Iffy goaltending that might get them league average play. Maybe. Like, there's going to be a lot of goals scored against the Sens, and as good as Ryan and Turris and Clark MacArthur are, I don't think they can make up for it. So, not a good time to be a Sens fan.
Sucks.
Yeah. Their owner's cheap.
And weird.
He's a weirdo.
Yeah.
So,
just a strange guy.
Everything went downhill ever since they got that Spartan dude to come when they were in the Stanley Cup Finals to give that stupid speech.
Oh, yeah.
Everything's just gone down.
Everything's...
Danny Heatley left, Alfredson left. Like, nah, things are not going well. That's what you get when you have a stupid shield with a script on the inside of it. You're just like, rah, rah,
and you're just reading it from the inside.
Yeah, just brutal. So now let's let Travis cry.
Okay, I'm gonna let you take the reins on this one, Travis. Give her. I'm not even gonna say a word.
They're going to be better in the future. They subtracted Jerry D'Amigo, Mason Raymond. We're talking about the Leafs, obviously. Nikolai Kulemin, Jay McClement. Thank goodness. Not thank goodness, but good, I guess, kind of. Dave Bolland, thank God. Tim Gleason, Carl Gunnarsson, Paul Ranger, and Drew McIntyre. They added David Booth. Oh, not bad. Matt Fratton. Not bad. Leo Komarov. Kind of overpaid, but good. Petri Contiola. I have to get to better at saying his name. Mike Santorelli. Not bad. Daniel Minnick. Not bad. They also got Roman Polak. Not really an upgrade on Gunnarsson at all. Stefan Robidaw, who's like 80 years old and has a broken leg. Kessel and JVR, they're great. There's no denying they're great. Not great possessionally, but they could score some freaking goals.
A lot.
Tyler Bozak had a good year, but they could be better in first center. I'm not a huge Bozak fan. Lupul's good, but has possession issues. Kadri's a great hockey player, but Carlisle hates him. Mm-hmm. So, shit.
Who knows where that's going to go?
It's great that Dave Bolland contract didn't happen. Thank you, Florida. Adding David Booth was a good move for the bottom six. Daniel Winnick could be a useful fourth-line guy. Mike Santorelli can handle some fantastically difficult minutes. I love me some overpaid Leo Komarov, to tell you the truth. He's just a pest and a pain in the ass and something the Leafs kind of needed. I think he is what they were hoping David Bolland would be.
Oh, Dave Bolland, okay.
The Leafs could have a decent bottom six if David Clarkson played there. Regardless of his contract, he could be a good bottom six grouping or player. But the thing is, the organization, for some stupid reason, wants him playing in the top six. And Randy Carlisle is probably going to play him in the top six. I don't know where. I don't know why. Because he's not good there, I would think. I mean, I guess he scored all his goals with good players in New Jersey, but they all went off his ass. Like, go watch all his goals from when he had his, 30 goals, 20 goal season or whatever. They're all, off of his butt and off his legs.
That's hilarious.
It's not like he scores them at will. It's because he stands in front of the net and lets guys shoot pucks at him. Basically how I play at rec league hockey. I just let pucks bounce off of me. It's the way it is. Except for I don't get paid over $5 million to do it a year. I pay to do it, which is a little weird. Leafs defense isn't really fantastic. Phaneuf gets played way too much for the type of player he is. I was listening to Steve Dangle's podcast, and I think Myrtle put it perfectly. The Leafs think Dion Phaneuf is Chris Pronger when he is Dion Phaneuf. He is great at scoring goals and good at what he does, but he's not a godly shutdown guy by any stretch of the imagination. It's like trying to make Mike Green a shutdown defenseman. It's not going to happen. He's good at what he does. Don't change that or you're not going to succeed. The guy who was supposed to help him this year, Stefan Robidas, is 37 to be exact. He's not expected to be healthy when he gets into this year because of that broken leg.
When is he supposed to be healed?
I don't know.
Okay.
No one really knows.
That's awesome.
So trading away Carl Gunnarsson and keeping some of his salary for a downgrade in Roman Polak was a weird move. You're welcome, St. Louis.
Yeah.
So, I don't like. The Leafs are pretty much praying that Cody Franzen, Jake Gardiner, who again Randy Carlyle seems to hate, and Morgan Rielly do things that they've never done before as rookies and young defensemen. So, it's not impossible, but it's not a role that any of them are used to playing on in the NHL yet. Like, the Leafs will be better this year. They're going to be better. They're not going to be as record-breaking bad defensively as they were last year. Partially because it's almost going to be impossible to be record-breaking bad again. But until they get rid of Randy Carlyle, which I think is coming at the end of this year.
I just have to stop and say I love the fact that you say they're going to be better because it's not possible to be worse. That's fantastic.
Oh, exactly. The fact they almost made the playoffs last year just shows how crazy the East is going to be. But unless Randy Carlyle changes his tune, I think he's gone. And then you really see, like, bringing in Kyle Dubas and the whole analytics side of things. Dave Nonis is kind of losing some of his control. Randy Carlyle isn't going to be able to do whatever the hell he wants. Changes are going to happen. I hope it's for the better. I think Leaf fans... I think we have something to look forward to for the first time in a long time.
I think that Leafs management has bought themselves a few years with fans. I mean, obviously, there's always going to be fans in Toronto.
Well, with the analytics
but in terms of, they've bought themselves a few years in terms of, we've got this base now of people who have this knowledge. Give us some time to work with it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, of course. That's the classic Travis at the beginning of every hockey season.
I hope.
Hands together to the skies.
Yeah. See how it goes. But I'm not expecting much.
Okay.
Florida Panthers lost Jesse Winchester, Matt Gilroy, Ed Jovanovski, Tom Gilbert, and Scott Clemenson. They added Dave Boland. Ugh. UC Jokinen, Sean Thornton. Ugh. Derek McKenzie, Willie Mitchell, Greg Zanin, possibly Aaron Ekblad, Al Montoya, and I guess you could say Roberto Luongo.
Yeah.
There are a couple moves that I liked out of Florida this offseason, but there's just as many that make me shake my head. Bringing Luongo and Montoya created a solid goaltending duo.
Yeah.
Bringing in UC Jokinen, who's a terrific hockey player. You can even throw drafting Ekblad in there as a terrific pickup. Willie Mitchell could be seen as a decent pickup. I question it when there's better guys available, but whatever. Brian Campbell's a good defenseman. He's probably one of the best in the league. But then they give so much money to Dave Boland. They bring in Sean Thornton. You just sit there and like, what are you doing, Florida? Do you ever want to succeed? Do you? I like Thomas Fleischmann. I like Sean Bergenheim. I like Jonathan Huberdeau. I like Brad Boyes. I think Alexander Barkov's going to be a hell of a hockey player. But you keep spending a lot of money on the wrong guys. And it's just... They have so many question marks that I really don't know how you can rely on a team full of decent depth players and kids to score goals, and I just don't see them going anywhere.
That's fair. I think I basically agree with that because it's, like you say, money spent in the wrong spots. I love the Luongo-Montoya duo. That's freaking sweet, and that'll help them a lot. But... I just don't think it's going to be enough, especially with...
You can't stand on your head for 82 games.
Yeah, exactly. And, I mean, with the teams that are in this division that are just way better.
Yep. Sabres, really quickly. Philly Wayno, Corey Conacher, John Scott, Christian Ehrhoff are all gone. They added Matt Molson, Brian Gionta, Cody McCormick, Zach Dalp, Jordan Samuel Thomas, Andre Mazzaros, Josh Georges, Tyson Strachan, and Andre Benoit. Just a bad hockey team.
Yeah, big time.
They got rid of a lot of good possession guys and brought in all but one bad possession players. They were already a bad possession team as it was. So it's basically Matt Molson, Tyler Ennis, and Zemgus Girgensons.
Yes, another ex spelling bee.
Against the world.
Zemgus Girgensons.
The plan for Buffalo is Connor McDavid.
Yeah, it's looking like it.
That's all it is. They have solid prospects on the way, but this is going to be a bad, bad year.
All right.
So who's making the playoffs?
I'm going to give those spots to... Actually, I think I've got what it ended up with last year because I was just curious as we were talking, and I think it's going to be pretty similar, actually. I've got Boston, number 1, Tampa, then Montreal, and then I guess the rest are pretty much...
I have Boston, Tampa, and Detroit. My wildcard teams are the Islanders and Montreal out of that conference.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Rangers missed the playoffs. And that is the East, everybody.
That is the East.
Tell us what you think. Do you agree, disagree? Where are we wrong? Where are we right? Who's actually going to make the playoffs? Who do you think we are hating on that shouldn't be hated on? Do you think the Leafs will make it?
Is there anyone that we didn't love enough that you think deserves some love?
Exactly. One more thing before we head off today. The worst case scenario bracket.
Ah, yes.
We have a winner. And the winner of the Winnipeg Jets worst case scenario bracket. The worst thing that could happen to the Jets this year would be a core player demanding a trade.
There it is.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, the ominous music cue.
Neil said something when I told you guys who'd won that makes complete sense. And it's the whole demanding aspect
the
of
magic
it that
word.
Just really sells it as to this would be the absolute worst because it just adds up all the terrible things that happen. The Winnipeg pride factor plays into that where everyone's like, oh, they hate us and everyone will cry about it and it'll be the worst. Oh no. The fact that all these steps forward with prospects are just tossed aside because you have nobody to guide them. You turn into pretty much the Florida Panthers, where you have a bunch of decent, or even the Sabres. You have nobody except for some prospects that could be good if a core players start going. The trickle down effect, it just all adds up. And I think our fans got this right. Is the core player demanding a trade would probably be the worst.
What was the total? Did we have totals for each vote?
I think it was like
It was close. I remember at one point
52-48 maybe.
It was like literally like 50-50 with.
Oh yeah, it was close.
Yeah.
I don't have it here, but it was close. It was like a 4% spread, something like that. It was a close vote. So thank you everybody if you participated. Yeah. No one sent us a video,
boo.
So
boo 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 boo.
That hockey abstract book is still up for grabs. We've got to figure out how we're going to give that to somebody. If you guys want stickers, you have to email us your addresses so we can send them to you.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So we're not just going to put them in a mailbox and be like, hopefully you get there.
Yeah.
So
good luck.
You need to tell us what your address is so we can mail these things to you. Again, if you want stickers, let us know. We'll either send you 1 or 2. We can send you up to 4. I think we have packs of 4 packs. Yeah. If you only need 1, we'll only send you 1. I mean, it doesn't make a difference to us. But if you want 4 of them, we'll send you 4 of them. They're not too big. We'll send them your way. So thank you to everybody who partook in that. That is all we've got for this week. I think we're already like well over an hour and a half. So.
Oh, we're almost 2 hours, dude.
Oh, holy my.
Crap. That got really long. So we're not going to do spelling bee. Oh, damn it, Joe. Yes. So we are going to wrap it up for today. If you want to talk to us, hashtag JetStream or at JetStreamPod. Check out the website, www.jetstreampodcast.com. Email us if you want stickers, jetstreampodcast@gmail.com. Season's getting close. Next week we'll go over the West. We're possibly going to have a guest with us. We'll talk about the Jets a little bit and what we think the Jets are going to do. If you want to get at me on Twitter, it's at THRUBENIUK. Joe is at JW_Clark20. Neil is at Neil Noonan. Subscribe and rate us on iTunes. Check out ArcticIceHockey.com where it's up in our game day threads, pre-game, post-game stuff once the season gets going, once preseason starting soon, less than a month, I think. All the guys are actually going to be in town soon, I believe.
There's a bunch of them
testing
already,
is on Thursday.
There's a bunch of them already here.
Yep. All the fitness testing is starting soon. All the odd ice stuff is going to get going. I'm sure practices are going to start going on at the Iceplex soon.
The Iceplex, there were guys skating today. Yep. Bogosian and those guys were out today.
People are showing up.
Yep.
I wonder if Kane's going to be last and if everyone's going to hate him. Yeah, I bet you he comes in last just so people
I think I saw a tweet just before we started recording of him saying something about being on the way or something like that. So
welcome, Evander.
Yeah.
When the dark cloud ominously appears.
Yeah, it's going to be raining tomorrow for sure because Evander Kane's in town.
It'll all be his fault.
Yeah.
He'll step on a spider. He'll kill spiders in the rain. It'll all be his fault. Thank you for listening, everybody. I know that was a lot of information all at once. We figured we want to give you a little bit of something on the Eastern Conference. A lot of long podcasts. They happen sometimes. So yeah, thank you for listening. Let us know if you want stickers, and I guess we can start really saying this because it's starting soon. Go Jets, go!